Congressman Larry Pressler on the issues. Congressman Pressler, what are your ideas on water policy in South Dakota?
Well, water clearly is a #1 issue in terms of job development. So many young South Dakotans leave our state because there aren't good-paying jobs. And I have long advocated modifications in the Oahe Plan so that we can bring water eastward. Also, we've got to think of western South Dakota. I think that if we were to develop pipelines 6 feet in diameter and run them alongside of railroad right-of-way, both in eastern and western South Dakota, we could have a water delivery system that would not destroy farmland and that would be acceptable to many of our people. Also, our rural water system for farmers and ranchers is very important, and sometimes these cause the well recharge rates in an area to go down. And we've got to lay claim through an interstate compact to the Missouri River water so that we can start having more use of Missouri River water, which will not lower our well recharge rates.
Congressman Pressler, what was your reaction toward President Carter's beef import policy?
Well, I was terribly upset. Again, ranchers and farmers are being asked to pay the price for our international trade. Now, also consumers will be hurt because the beef imports are of a lower quality. They do not meet the same inspection standards that our domestic beef does. But in the next 10 years, our farm policy is going to be more affected by international trade. I have suggested that some of our farm groups bring an international lawsuit to try to force our government to treat agricultural trade the same as it treats our industrial trade. There are many differences, and farmers and ranchers and small businessmen end up paying for part of our foreign trade bill.
Congressman Pressler, what about inflation?
Well, inflation is something that hurts senior citizens, it hurts wage earners, and indeed I've been very concerned because as I hold my listening meetings about my district and throughout South Dakota, inflation seems to be a #1 topic. And it's caused by deficit government spending, by waste, and indeed I've spoken a lot about the automatic pay raise for members of Congress, which I think is a bad example. But also some of the national monopolies cause inflation, and those monopolies are in big government, they're in big labor and big business, and they can pass on the costs of inflation to the small businessman and to the housewife. And we've got to think of them in other areas, in some of the traditional areas, and we talk about big oil and so forth. There's also monopolies in the media. We need a Teddy Roosevelt type era of trust busting to break up some of the great media conglomerates because they set the fashion. We're told that in the next 10 or 20 years a small handful of people may control all the national newspaper chains, and I think that's very dangerous. It's also very inflationary.
Congressman Pressler, what about taxes in South Dakota?
Well, I'm a co-sponsor of the Kemp-Roth bill to provide major tax cuts for the middle class and for small business to create jobs. Job creation and expansion is one of the key issues as I see it. And under the Kemp-Roth bill, there would be a tax cut on federal income taxes similar to that during the early 1960s in the Kennedy administration. And that tax cut actually resulted in an increase of revenue to the Treasury because under the Lather curve, after taxes reach a certain point, they become counterproductive. That is, there's such a dampening effect on the economy that they actually reduce jobs. But under the Kemp-Roth bill, and I don't agree with all the schedules in the bill, but the concept and the goal is good. Taxes on common people would be cut so they would have more money to spend on goods and services. Also, taxes would be cut where jobs were created in small business. And this is what is needed in South Dakota because we have both unemployment and we're losing young people to other states, and we also have underemployment. Wages are low. And a concept such as the Kemp-Roth bill would be a step forward in creating jobs. Also, I've been a champion of vocational education in the Congress, and this would result in training people for jobs that are available. In the next 20 years, almost 80% of the new jobs will be in the vocational skilled area, and that's why I've been a champion of vocational education.